The reunion between these two has literally been set in stone to give us the impression that Saul was dead for so long. Actually, you know what? I don't want to lose my monetization. So, SOBs, access denied. Anybody watch Prison Break? Yeah? No? All right. Literally, Robin was the Michael Schofield at the age of 8. And I mean, if you watch that season 1, I bet. But that season 2, bro was literally the most wanted man in America. This dude was a grown-ass man. Baby girl was literally 8. And at least with Michael, bro had his whole squad with him. Robin out here putting in this work. She the type of girl to take a shot of Patron and a punch to the chest. Now that's a bad bitch. When emotional damage means nothing. Oda, you not slick. I know you got that last poneglyph lurking. This reunion is definitely not a coincidence. Saul been absent the whole show and finally shows up in the final saga. Nah.
Stop the cap.
But before we get into it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join the notification gang. And leave a comment below. Jokes aside, Saul literally showed back up in one of the most important arcs, arguably the most important arc. This is not a coincidence. Oda, where that poneglyph at? Now, based on Aokichi's nonchalant demeanor and the aftermath of the Garp fight, we could speculate that Saul was definitely alive. And there's also the fact that we never actually saw him die. And I'm pretty sure in the time in which they actually had the fight, if my memory serves me well, we already kind of knew he was alive. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me below. I can't actually remember. This was like Egghead, and it was a little while back. So, I mean, Saul ended up as like a human popsicle while Garp had a bunch of swords in his guts. Okay, let's wind that back. He ended up with an ice stick in him. Nope. Ice spike in his... Okay, I'll stop. Sorry. Robin had a very sad childhood. And it's actually nice to see her smile. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm loving the cut. Like, I didn't get to comment on it before because I didn't actually put a review out for the chapter when she got a haircut. But I ain't gonna lie to you, that cut is nice. The Straw Hats are pretty much plotting the next move, and I find it interesting how they were separated before, but now they're all reunited. But I think Oda's skipping over the part where they're reunited now, or where they were in the process of getting reunited. Definitely needed to happen off screen just because of how powerful this moment was actually going to be. Like, when you think about it, this whole chapter was really just dedicated to them just reuniting. Like, that just shows you how much significance this moment has, and I'm not even gonna use the term relevance, but more in the sense of how much of a role he's gonna play now in the story, especially seeing that he's back. We gonna get a nice power up for Robin? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. She's not, I mean, she can box. Like, let's not get it twisted. Like, I'm not a killer, but don't test me. This moment was so sad. It kind of reminds me of when I was a kid and I saw Tommy leave the Power Rangers because he lost his powers as the Green Ranger. And then, like, that sad moment that you had, just the in terms of how your feelings was hit. And now, bearing in mind, I don't watch Power Rangers no more. I'm a grown-ass man. But, like, you know, when I was a kid or in my pre-adolescent years, you know, I watched it, and, you know, I ain't getting no emotional nothing because I don't be crying. Like, You know what I'm saying? And then when he came back as the White Ranger, it's like, White Ranger, Tiger Power. But you know what it, I mean, I don't know the words like that because I watched it as a kid. I don't watch it anymore. And it's not on my YouTube search history, so don't go ahead and check that. But either way, the moment was powerful. That's the point. Y'all not buying that, are you? Okay. I really do commend Robin for not breaking down on site. Robin endured so much as a kid, and the propaganda against her was crazy work. Look, like Robin was 8. Like, when you think about it, let's take a trip down memory lane. Like, I remember when I was 8 years old, I was a little dude, and I was out here spinning Beyblades in church. Now, despite the morality behind that, that's not the point. I'm pretty sure God will let it slide. I hope. But despite that, I was clearly focused on other things as a kid, as opposed to being on the escape of this nationwide or worldwide manhunt. Robin just wanted to die and genuinely didn't feel any sort of reason to live. To call it an existential crisis would be an understatement. People out here in their 20s and 30s and still ain't got their together. Like, Robin and Saul are literally there in the moment and they don't even know how to communicate. You can't even be mad at it. It's been like 22 years and the person you was the most close to at that point in time when you were a kid, you thought was dead the whole show. Yeah, that's that Naruto Uzumaki hardship. Yeah, great analogy. No, it's not. You know what makes it even crazy? Robin's not even an emotional person, and the fact that she wanted praise for being able to survive is probably just the most intense thing. When you think about the depth of her character, right? She's very cynical and dangerously dark. Like, a lot of the times when she be pulling jokes and stuff, she'd be like, yeah, that's a fly. Let me pull his wings off. And I mean, that might be funny, kinda, but at the same time, kinda messed up. You know what I'm saying? It's like you see a dog and you're like, yeah, let me just pull his leg off or whatever. I mean, like, a 3-legged dog, I mean, it could be funny. I mean, it'd be mad sad. It'd be more sad than funny. You know what I'm saying? So, but the fact that she wanted praise and she wanted to just be acknowledged or recognized that she had actually survived and made it through really shows to you just how much of an impact Saul had on her. And I mean, she arguably has one of the best backstories, one of the saddest backstories. But to tell you the truth, with all the backstories that I've seen, it'll be really hard to just sit there and rank who has the worst backstory. Because when I saw Kuma's backstory, oh yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I was out here just on my Cuba Gooding Jr. boxing oxygen. But that's just me. Either way, the world government, whoo, after everything the world government has done, and I mean, I get it, it's the manipulators, but at the same time, we're not absolving you of responsibility. I really need to see how this actually plays out for the world government, because honestly, there's so many messed up things that they've done retrospectively. It just makes you sit here and think, like, how is all this actually gonna play out overall? But who do you even isolate that to in regards to whose fault that actually is? You could say the guy who put out the propaganda, but then also you could definitely credit the Gorosei. But all I'm gonna say is that final hockey punch that Luffy gonna land on the Emu gonna have the soul of every character. He's like, oh, Naruto Uzumaki, boff. Naruto's not even from One Piece. The way the world government demonized Robin as a child should actually be studied. How do you get the whole world to hate an 8-year-old girl? Like, is there no sense of morality? Like, I get it, the sense of influence, and I'm looking at this more from like a realistic perspective, not an anime perspective. So any of y'all trying to dog me in the comments, y'all can go count something. How do you actually get the world to hate an 8-year-old girl? Even if, let's just say hypothetically, she did do that stuff. The idea that she's still a child would still take presence in the sense of like, it's like when you have a convict who's an adult and then a convict who's a kid. Of course, they're gonna be a lot lighter on the kid versus the adult. But when you think of how much the world actually hated Robin, you would have thought that little girl was actually grown. It's almost like if anybody watched Arcane and just the whole thing with Jinx, just I would say part 1 of Arcane, right before the time skip, it was like the exchange that she had with Vi was actually crazy. And I can see that, yes, she was trying to help, but at the same time, it's just like, just the way Vi like just, I guess, came at her. I mean, and I can understand both ends of the spectrum, but it was just really sad to see overall, especially because Jinx was just trying to help and she didn't really know any better. So it's like, it's a good show, and it's definitely pretty messed up. I'd say highly recommended. Highly recommended. People actually wished Robin dead. She became the enemy of the entire world, and the only thing that she could do to actually survive was just maintain the mental capacity or the mental fortitude that she got from Saul, just from the words he spoke into her. Don't worry, one day you're gonna meet some friends who really gonna care about you. And the craziest part is that she heard that at 8. And when she meet the Straw Hats, well, she was fully grown, so we're gonna say late 20s, early 30s. Almost 20 years later, so she had to endure all of that for over 20 years. I'm roughly calculating, but if anybody know the number, hit that comment section below. She became a survivor. She had more reason to want to end herself as opposed to keeping herself alive, which is actually sad work when you think about it as a kid. I worked with a kid at a camp one time, and I remember I didn't even work with him. I walked past him, and then he said something along the lines of, "There's no reason to even be alive anymore." I was like, bro. At this point, yo, the way I had to hit a management, because it's just like, kids don't just say that off the bat. Like, he must have definitely seen some things that most adults probably ain't seen. Because for a kid to think that is actually crazy. But overall, I'm genuinely happy that they got reunited. I mean, we see everybody's reactions, of course, and I mean, Luffy, basically everybody with the exception of Zoro and Jinbei, because Noah gotta keep his hardness in check. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he gonna be like, all right, you know, I feel you, Robin. Robin, you clean, but you know, you're not gonna get a tear out of me. But that's just me personally. And I mean, Jinbei got the same, he rock solid, son. But jokes aside, either way, this was a touching chapter, man. I definitely enjoyed it. I'm glad to be back. I'm happy to be reviewing One Piece again. But yeah, unfortunately, we are on break next week. Am I mad? Yes. Do I understand it? Yes. Older get better. You know, rest is definitely important. Either way, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll holler at y'all later, man. Peace.